Hello, so this is our last video of 2019, so we're going to go over the second part of our review. So in this review today, we have lots of calculator work, so make sure you have your calculator and make sure you are following along as we use this here. So in our first question, it says, what is the equation of the line that has a slope of -1/2 and goes through the point -2, 1. So this here is very easy, but it's also very important. So the first thing we want to do is eliminate answer choices. If my slope is a -1/2, that means that the number with the x needs to be a -1/2. So this is not -1/2, so it's not h. This is also not -1/2, so it's not j. Now there is a typo. There's supposed to be an x right here. You can put a little x right there for letter F. So now the answer is either F or it's G because both of those have a slope of -1/2. So when we did this by hand, we took the equation y equals mx plus b. We plugged in the y value, we plugged in the slope, we plugged in the x value, and then we wrote plus b. So then we solved for b. -1 equals -1/2 times -2 is +1 plus b. To get b by itself, we moved the constant by subtracting 1. So -2 equals b. So that means that my back number is a -2. So the correct answer here is G, because the back number is -2 and the slope was -1/2. So this is how we solved it by hand in the beginning of the school year. So we took our equation, y equals mx plus b. We plugged in our m, our x, and our y, and we solved for the letter b. So now in 27, I want to show you the same thing, but this time I'm going to show it to you in the calculator. So in this one here, it says that the slope needs to be a 5. Well, unfortunately, all of these have a slope that is the number 5. So what we can do is that every single time you see the phrase y equals, so every single time, if you ever see a y equals, what we can do is graph. So we're going to go to this little picture of the graph right here. So find your calculator, turn it on, click the picture of the graph, enter. And then I'm going to type in A, 5x plus 3, enter. So this is a graph, and these are numbers. So what I do is I press Control T. Control T. So what this does is it shows me a table of all of the numbers that live on this first equation here. So I'm looking for the ordered pair 3, 0. If I look at this, the 3 does not go with a 0, it goes with an 18. So the answer is not A. So I go back to on, I'm going to plug in a new graph, and now I'm going to try B. 5x minus 3, enter, Control T. In this one, when the x value is 3, the y is still not 0, so it's not B. So let's try C. On, graph. 5x minus 15, enter, Control T. In this one, when the x is a 3, the y is a 0. So this one is the one that has that ordered pair on its table. Control T stands for table. So the correct answer is C. So if you ever see a y equals or f of x, or f of x equals, you can just go to the graph button in your calculator if it ever says y equals or f of x equals. So let's try that again. In this one here, it says, what is the equation of the line that goes through the point 0, 7 and is parallel to the line y equals -5x minus 5? So what we need to know is what the word parallel means. Very important and very easy. Parallel means it has the same slope. So parallel is the same slope. The slope is the number attached to your x when y is by itself. So the slope of this one is -5. So which is the only answer choice that has a slope, an m, of -5? Here it is. It's F. Okay, let's try that again, a little bit more exciting for 29. 29, same idea, parallel to this guy here. Parallel means same slope. Parallel, same slope. So same slope, that means it has to be a positive 3.2. So it's not C. That's not a positive 3.2. And it's not D. So now I see a y equals. So I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to go to on. I'm going to go to the graph. I'm going to type in option A. 3.2x plus 6, enter. Control T. On this table, I'm looking for this ordered pair because I'm matching the numbers. So I press Control T. When x is 3, the y is not 6, so it's not A. So it's probably B, but let's check. On, add a new graph. 3.2x minus 3.6, enter. Control T. Voila. And this one, when the x is 3, the y is 6. That ordered pair lives on my table. So the correct answer is B. Easy. Next one, number 30. Next word we need to know is the word perpendicular. Perpendicular means you take the slope. It's a longer word, so this one is a longer step. So what we have to do, I call it a flippin' change. So perpendicular is a flip and change. So I take my slope numbers and I flip them. So now it's 3/7. Then I change the sign. It was negative and now it's positive. So which is the only answer choice that has a slope of positive 3/7? Correct answer is H. That doesn't have positive 3/7. Nope and nope. Very easy. Okay, you don't have to do 31. You can try it if you want a challenge. So let's move on to 32. All right, 32. So there are two ways to do this here. To do this by hand, what we learned at the beginning of the year is you can take this x value and you can plug it inside here for x. Then you just solve what that number would be. But I also want to show you the calculator method in case you want to use this here. So what we said on the last page is that every single time you see the phrase y equals or f of x, you can go to the graph button in the calculator. So I see an f of x, so I'm going to go to the on button, and I'm going to add a graph. Always pick the picture, not these guys here. I want the picture of the graph. Now I just type in my function. F of x is 4x minus 8. Enter. So this is what that function looks like if we press Control T. So Control T, again, is a table of values. So it tells me the number. So when the x value is 2 on my table, what's the y value? Very easy. It's just a 0. The next one, when the x value is a -8, my y value is the number -40. So easy. Go ahead and try the same thing with number 33. So if you ever see an f of x or a g of x or an h of x, go to your graph, add that picture of the graph, type it in. These are numbers, so we press Control T. Look at the table. When x is 9, figure out what the y value is. So try number 33. Okay, let's take a look at 34. So in number 34, we need to graph it. Again, if we ever have a y equals, we can just type it into the graph in the calculator and be able to see what the graph looks like. So we have some options here. So you could distribute these and get rid of the parentheses, but as long as y is by itself, I can just plug it in. So to get y by itself, this minus 4 is in the way. So I'm going to add 4 to the back of this equation. So my new equation is y equals 1/2 x plus 6 plus 4. Now the y is by itself. So I got y by itself just by moving this to the back. So now that y is by itself, I can just plug it in. I go to the picture of the graph, and I type in, to do a fraction, it's control divide, 1/2, x plus 6 plus 4, enter. It graphed it. This is kind of a hideous graph, I apologize. So we'll just sketch that it's someplace like this here. That graph doesn't show up very well, but we know it's somewhere up and over in that quadrant. Okay, let's try 35. I'll show you 35 by hand. So again, you have both options. You could just get the y by itself, move that minus 2 to the back, or you could solve it, make it nice and pretty. So when we did this at the beginning of the year, we got rid of parentheses. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Parentheses are gone. Get y by itself by subtracting 2 from both sides. That leaves me with y equals negative 3x, negative 3 minus 2 is a negative 5. Okay, to graph this line, we begin at the y-intercept, and we're going to go down 3 and over 1. Same thing, 1, 2, 3 over 1. 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 Connect your dots. Okay, so that's how we solve by hand. So by hand, we got rid of parentheses, and then we moved that 2 to the back. Now let's check that graph in the calculator to see if what we have is correct. So I press the on button. Anytime you have a y equals, we've got y by itself, so we can go to the graph. That was negative 3x minus 5, enter. Does this graph match this graph? Absolutely. So if you have this here, you can always just get y by itself, type it into the graph, and see what you get. Not too difficult. Okay, let's try 36. So in 36, again, we can never graph a line unless y is by itself. So in this one, to get y by itself, the negative 2 is in the way. This here is like saying negative 2 times y. So I'm going to divide every single piece by negative 2. So I have a number in front of a letter, I would divide. So that's y equals negative 2x minus 3. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. So again, I'm going to graph it by hand, and then I'm going to plug it in and check that calculator. Back number is a negative 3, so I begin at negative 3. On the y-axis, slope is down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Same thing, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Okay, so I graphed it from the slope and the y-intercept. Now I can check it. If you ever have a y equals, I'm going to press the picture of the graph. I'm going to type it in, negative 2x minus 3, enter. Does that red line match my blue line? Absolutely it does. So that is the correct answer. 37 you can try if you want a challenge, but you don't have to do that one there. So let's move on to 38.